On the other side of this Jenga block, this silly little piece of wood, is a sentence written in marker. Because nearly a decade ago, I got married. And when I got married, my then husband and I were very into games. So we asked each of our wedding guests to take a blank Jenga block and a marker and write a small piece of marriage advice on the blocks for us. So then we'd have a nice set of little marriage advice Jenga blocks. Back then, my life was very different. I had been working multiple part-time jobs just to make ends meet. The job that I had worked the longest, that had made me the most money up until that point, was a gig-based creative job that I did for a former friend's company. The biggest downsides to working that job were that it was gig-based, which means that the frequency of work was inconsistent and the money was inconsistent, despite the fact that it did pay well and I did enjoy it. And also that the former friend that I was working for had become more and more financially abusive and mentally abusive towards me over the years. It took me nearly a decade to recognize that former friend's behavior as abuse. But after years of them guilting me into doing side work for their business for free because they paid me so well that I should be more grateful, years of them asking me for favors all of the time, but any time that I would ask them for a favor, I would have to fight tooth and nail to get them to help me. Years of watching them be so incredibly cruel that they would bring other employees to tears and then feel no remorse whatsoever, rarely, if ever, even apologizing or owning up for their own behaviors, and unfortunately, years of being manipulated into enabling that behavior. Otherwise, I'd be fired and lose my main source of income. I got a job as an appliance repair technician. And when I got the job as an appliance repair tech, I finally started making enough money that I didn't have to rely on the gig job anymore. The same year I got the job as an appliance repair tech was the same year that I got married. And at the time of my wedding, I was still working that gig job, mostly because I had not yet recognized that this former friend's behavior was abusive. Unfortunately, that took another couple of years, which means that the person who I now identify not as my former friend, but as my former abuser, was a guest at my wedding. And this Jenga block is the block on which my former abuser wrote their marriage advice to me and my then husband. I found this Jenga block while cleaning out the storage space that is now my office and new studio space, the room I'm literally standing in right now. That marriage ended a few years ago, so when I found the Jenga blocks in storage, I decided to donate the rest of them. But I'm keeping this one as a reminder to myself of the challenges that I've overcome in order to get to this point in my life. Because written in marker on the other side of this silly little block of wood on the day of my wedding, this is the marriage advice that was given to me by my former abuser. Quit your job and gig work more. Had I followed that advice, I genuinely believe that I would not be here today. So if you've watched this all the way to the end and this resonates with you, here's my advice, not for marriage, but for life. From someone who climbed their way up and out of abuse from a person who called themselves my friend. They are not your friend.